All right, well, I think we can go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Deborah Newcomer, and I am a GP support technician with CSSI Technologies. I've been with CSSI and work with GP for about 20 years now. Our webinar today will be presented by GPC Systems. They're going to show us their product called Easy eBankRec. This tool works within GP and offers automation, importing, matching, and recording of bank transactions to help make the reconciling process quicker and easier. If you have any questions during the presentation, please post them in the chat section of the WebEx meeting, and I'll read them as they come in. And we'll also have some time afterwards for additional questions. So I think I'll now turn it over to Adrienne Lilly at GPC Systems, and she can take it from here. Adrienne?
Thanks, Deborah. I'm with GPC Systems Support. So we have our support email where we can answer any additional questions that might come up. And today's presentation is going to be by Guy Caron. He's got decades of reconciliation and accounting experience with GP, and he's going to introduce our product to you. So quick handover to you, Guy.
Good morning, everyone. I will be very quick and direct on how we're going to present this to you. So we basically say if you spend more than 4 or 5 hours a month on this, you should probably take a look at our product. Our goal is really to see if there's ways that we can make the month process better and faster, and also relieve some of the stress at the end of the month. So I have a couple of slides, and then we'll turn into a demo. And if by any time you feel that going too fast or you have some other issues with the presentation, go ahead and let us know, and we'll slow down or go back. So our first slide talks a little bit about why we make it easy in that particular regard. We import the bank file in an electronic format. And what we try to do is that we try not only to match your items on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, but we also allow you to do some automated transactions. So what we try to do is simplify life a little bit by booking transactions that otherwise you might have to do by hand. And we do that based on a description that's inside your bank statement. So we are going to do that by giving you a very tight bank reconciliation process that shows you what's matching, what's mismatching. And of course, if you do that on a daily or a weekly basis, it will improve your AR, your AP, and your payroll and bank rec transactions inside GP, and your financials will be a lot cleaner, a lot faster. So as I mentioned before, we don't think all this should happen at the end of the month. So we split the bank reconciliation process really in 2 parts. One is the matching, and one is the reconciliation to the general ledger, which we have a window for that will help you as well. So the reconciliation window at the end is usually done once a month or once a period, depending if you're on a calendar basis or maybe on a 4 or 5 if you're more in the retail space. So when we bring things in, we match documents by document number. And so that's when the tape comes in from the bank statement, either daily or weekly. And then after that, we allow you to match any item by amount. So typically ACHs, EFTs, wires don't have any document numbers. So what we offer you is the ability to take the amounts without the document number and try to find the matching entry in GP. We do that automatically. Then the most important, and I think the most exciting piece probably besides the bank rec itself, is our point number 3 here. So we will allow you to set up automation based either on the code. A code could be a ZBA or an interest on your bank or charges for your bank. But we also allow you to look at your bank statement. If you look on your paper on your bank statement, there might be a particular description. I'll give you an example. Credit card fees often have the merchant ID or portion of the merchant ID on the bank statement. Therefore, we know uniquely what that is. It will probably be a charge for your credit card fees. So we can actually record those credit card fees through a bank decrease adjustment. and we grab only the merchant ID. And because of that, we can then specify description and book those entries for you, reducing time and expense in doing all that. ZBA is the same, interest on your bank account, service charges, anything that you see on your bank statement that you possibly think we can book, we could do that for you. And the next to last point here is the reconciliation summary. So that will reconcile you from your general ledger last month to the general ledger this month, and we'll add the outstanding list that we produced, which is the same as the GP one, and that should match your bank statements. You actually can take a picture of the GL balances at the time and know that you were fully reconciled at the time as well, and you store that with your other regular GP bank statement report. And last but not least, when we match items, you'll see different color schemes. We will do all the click marks for you in GP. You don't ever have to worry about them. We'll do them for you. So that it'd be fairly simple to do all of those. So rather than spend a lot of time on talking about the product, I'm going to show you the product. And we're going to switch over and we're going to go look at our product and see what it is. We can launch our product typically from the window that is the GP reconciliation window, reconciled bank statement window. We are subservient to that screen. So from a security perspective, if you have access to this particular small screen in GP, you also will have access to our product as well. As you can see, we're embedded in GP, and we also comply to all the rules in GP in regards to the bank reconciliation. We do everything for the bank rec. The only thing we don't do is fill in this screen, and also we don't hit the reconcile button at the end. We will do everything in between. Just for ease of viewing, make my screen full screen. And on the left-hand side in this big yellow screen, you will see what you normally would see when you open the GP bank rec. So if you were to hit transactions here, you would actually see everything that's on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to see the electronic bank statement, and we will give you a visual representation as to what is matching and what is not matching and the work you have to do. Items that match, you can hide them, and therefore you only have to match the remaining items. This is where I repeat my story about matching versus reconciling. We're going to import our bank statement, and the few points I made earlier about importing the bank statement is the first step. We're then going to match items by amount, and we're going to match items by amount for outbound money. And then lastly, we're going to do automated transactions. Those were these interest, service charges, ZBAs, maybe credit card charges that we book for you. And then point 6 here is when we put the click marks inside GP. You can do this every day. So you don't have to wait for the end of the month to do your bank rec. You can do it once a month, once a week, or every day. We have folks that have 800 bank accounts. They have enormous volume. And we basically automate all of this as much as we can. Without further ado, we're going to show you what we do. We import the bank file. We have numerous formats we support. Just for simplicity's sake here, grab file that we're going to import, in this case, a bank statement here. And when I click import, it will read the file. It takes about 1 or 2 seconds to read about 1,000 records. So if you have more than 1,000, you can calculate. So you can see right away the results. We have 2 colors. Yellow means it is inside Dynamics GP, but we don't yet have a match on the bank statement. It means they're truly outstanding item at this time. And then in blue or teal are items that are on the bank statement that we've not been able to match up automatically at the time of the import. If I go down just a little bit, remember that the right-hand side is your Dynamics, not your Dynamics, but is your bank statement. And the left side here is what's in GP. You can see that all these items are in white. So this check number 233 for $70 was issued on 3/25 and was cashed. This, of course, is demo data. But you can see that we do absolute numbers on the check number. So padding of the zeros doesn't matter to us. And everything that is in white are what we call well-behaved children. So these are really the checks that matched up. You can immediately see the light blue items here. Shows you that there is an item on the bank statement that did not match up with something in GP, although there is a check number here anyway. So either somebody didn't book them in GP or possibly the bank misread the microencoding. If I go down all the way down, we have one more color that we have, which is color red. An item in red is an item that has a match on the document number, 90241 here, and the issued amount is $142. And you can see that the bank decided to cash it for $145. So in that case, you might have to do some research and decide which one is correct. For demo purposes, I'm going to hit my D for difference button, and I can actually book that variance on the fly, and I can say per GE, he botched up, right? I booked the amount wrong, and I can specify the account, or I can override the account where my additional $3 is going to be done. If I had the process D button over here on the right-hand side, it will create a decrease adjustment for $3, and it's going to be in the same checkbook, and it's going to be on the same check number. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I click OK. I'm all happy. If I go look for that document, 90241, and I click Search, you can see that I now have two documents. So in GP, I actually have two documents. I have the original check for 142, I have the decrease adjustment for the $3 we just did, and now that matches my item over here. And all these items in white are just there to say they're here, but they're okay. They're perfectly matched up. You can see there's another red one here. I can say I can also do this again. We have a limit of $200 on our D button. And so this is to avoid people making $1 million adjustments by hitting 2 clicks. And so my print button is disabled because it's over my limit of what I'm allowed to do with variances between the two. So this is the view that you get after the import. So immediately you can see everything that's matching and not matching. What we're going to do now is, if you notice here, a lot of these items in blue here do not have a document number with a few exceptions. So what's happening here, we're going to take these amounts, and banking in the current world, often the banks have decided we don't need a document number for wires. We don't need a document number for ACHs or EFTs. So we're left to our own demise to try to figure that out. So we've helped that by doing an actions, and we're going to grab all the deposits in the bank that have not yet been matched and don't have a document number, and we're going to try to match them with an item in yellow. So just to show you again, so we're going to take these items that are positive here, 831,607. You can see that it's over here as my second line, right? So rather than I having to do all this by hand, I'm going to let the system do this for me and offer me solutions. So what it did is it took all my items in blue, it found 5 matches, and you can see 1 in yellow. You might see that my limit is 4 days from a date perspective, and in this case, 3/11/2007 versus 3/19 is 8 days. So I don't mark it automatically because I want to review anything that's older than a few days. You can set that date to 30 days, whatever you would like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it open right now. And what we will do is we'll take the deposit number that's on the left-hand side here, and we're going to automatically put that number on the bank statement. We're not doing anything in GP. We are merely taking the document number in GP that we've matched up with an item with no document on the bank statement, and we are putting that in there. So I just click here. Some customers will have hundreds of those here, depending on how your business is running. If I refresh my screen, 4 deposits should disappear, and they do, and they're gone. If I were to go look all the way at the end, you can actually see what happened. The 4 deposits are now my well-behaved children scenario. Did I change anything that the bank did? Not really. The bank gave us me no document number. We have our own field that we use to match this up when it's a non-match with the bank. And then we just basically display what's matching and not matching. If you didn't like what we did, or if we made a mistake, you can actually erase this and then these two items would automatically be independent again, one in yellow, one in blue. I can do the exact same thing for monies outbound. And so I'm grabbing now anything that is in blue that doesn't have a document number. You can see there's some zeros here. And I happen to find that maybe this is one of those checks where the microencoding didn't read at the bank because the dog ate the bottom of the check, or mom put it through the wash 7 times, whatever it might be. We allow you again to match items on the bank statement with an amount and try to find them in GP in order for you not to have to do that by hand. Again, we're going to put these two document numbers to the right-hand side, and I say yes, and they're done and they're gone. If I close this, brush, I'll have an additional 2 all the way at the bottom, and they will be there. In most cases, what you're going to find is that you really don't want to see any of these items in white. So what we do is we switch the view to not equal. So not equal means show me everything I have left that I still need to work on. So every day you could upload your file on your bank statement, do your matching, and you would be left with items that do not match. I'm going to show you a couple of things now, how we're going to be able to book some of these items here that we don't have in our system. You might notice this little number here on the right-hand side. Those are called BAI files numbers, and they're from the Banking Association industry standards. And the banking industry in the US gives a transaction code to all the banking transactions they do. We have a list of them here. So we actually know what people are doing. 75 is actually a ZBA. 575 is ZBA. Year 1 is when you go up to the bank teller and you hand them your checks and you make a physical deposit at the check. So at the bank. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our step number 4, and we're going to do some automated transactions. I have 2 ways of doing automation. First one is in my setup, I can request for certain codes to be automated. In this case, we've decided that the ZBAs are going to be an increase in my cash, and I'm hitting suspense, and an inbound ZBA, an outbound ZBA, I'm going to credit my cash, and I'm going to hit the suspense account. Why am I doing this? Because when you do electronic reconciliation, ZBAs will all show up in here. This is my inbound ZBAs. People mostly will book the variance once a month. We offer the ability to book those on the fly every day. Option 4. Automated bank transfer. You can see it grabbed all of my 575s. If I hit yes here on process, it will actually do an increase adjustment or a decrease adjustment for all of those transactions. And the net result of this is that in a matter of, what have we been doing here, about 10 minutes or so, we have reconciled, or at least matched all those items. I'm left with these items. That's all I am left with. We can also look at this and decide to do a few more things. We do show you the description. And so you can see the various description here. I could decide that I want to do more automation. You can see this 354 here. That is the interest that your bank is sending you because you're so kind and leaving your money at their bank. So I can say, I'm going to book this. But rather than using the code, I'm going to use the description this time. If I right click, I can actually see whenever it says this, or if it says credit 354, whatever I want to do, I'm just going to go ahead here. This is money inbound. So this is my bank account for DL, and this is going to be interest income, and I save this. What does this mean? What I've really done is I've set up a rule that will automatically pick up anytime the interest comes through my bank statement. It will book it for me when I hit my automated transaction. If I run it again, it picked this one up. So now you have to remember when the next upload happens, or the next month, or the next week, or tomorrow, it means you're automating bank transactions inside GP for you that you no longer will have to book. interest, ZBAs, service fees, loan payments, whatever it is, we can automate them for you. Process this. And again, another item bites the dust. You see the 354 is gone. If I go ahead and I want you to look carefully. So you can see our number here is the BAI code followed by the database name, the checkbook ID, convoluted way to our date, which is year, followed by the month, which is C, which is in March, and then the third, and then there's a sequence number within more than 999 automated transactions within the same bank code every day. Then but that's all these things that we did automatically for you. I'm switching back to my note. So from an automation point of view, we hit steps: import, matching by amount, and automated transactions. Later on, you can execute all 4 of those steps with our automated import feature. What that means is that you have the ability to say, for this particular bank account, to execute those 4 steps here as you wish. You determine when you're ready to do that. Then you wouldn't have to do all the steps I just did. It will do them all for you at once. And if in your BAI file that you download from your bank, which is capable of holding multiple bank accounts, we not only would do it for one bank account, we would do it for all the bank accounts that are residing at. So the ability to hit this automated button here will allow you to execute the 4 steps we just did for every single bank account that is in the uploaded file. So quite a piece of automation there. We tell people, I want to do that a little bit later, but that's what we do there. So we have a couple of other tools that we can use to do matching. So I can right click on this particular amount here and I say, show me matches. And I found a match there and say, yep, that's the right one. Go ahead and put that number in there. If you might remember, that was the one that was 8 days apart. So I can now go back to my screen. If I hit show, you can see the numbers here and it came from there. Hit show, it disappears again. A couple other things that we do, you can sort by any which way of these columns. You can export them to Excel. You can do all of these things on the fly. One of the nice features is we do one-to-many, many-to-one, or many-to-many. So I'm going to show you that one next. You can see this deposit here for $6,500. Look at my totals here at the bottom. And if I select the item that is right above it, I'm going to code my control key. My variance is $65 here at the bottom. I happen to have written a demo myself, so I can go ahead and select my 65 here. And now I have 2 items on the right, 1 item on the left. We don't care. 20 on the left, 10 on the right, it doesn't matter. As long as your variance is 0, I can hit split and it would take care of all of those. So EFT, where you have 100 items on your GP side that you pay 100 vendors, but 1 item is on your bank statement, you highlight the 100, you highlight the 1 item on the bank, and you hit the split feature, bingo, they're all gone and they're taken. So those are some of the features we do from a matching point of view. But we have one last thing I wanted to show you, which is if I forgot to book something and I forgot to do something here and say, oh, this $1,400 here, I actually forgot to book it. So I can click on the drill down here and it will launch the bank rec window that is native to your Dynamics GP. The big advantage of that is you don't have to fill in the date, you don't have to fill in the checkbook. The check number, if there, will fill it in for you and we'll take the description, putting it in here. I'm just going to say here, this is some kind of expense. Have on the expense side of the house. Postage and freight, that's a lot of postage, but and basically from the bank statement, in a matter of seconds, I've been able to book an entry in GP. Again, if I refresh my screen, that item should disappear. It can also be done with increase or decrease, but if I thought that this maybe was a transfer that I forgot to book, I can also do this with transfer. On the inbound, so let's say it came from this one. And if I hit show, what you're going to see is item. So the goal of our software, when I mentioned at the very beginning, is to match items, is that this process that I just did, you can do it every day. Our goal is to have no items in blue here, which means all the items on your bank statement have been matched up inside GP. Imagine every Monday doing this. The end of the month reconciliation becomes a cinch. It really becomes simplifies the pressure. It becomes part of your daily or your weekly processes, and therefore the matching of your bank statement faster and not easy. I'm going to flip over now to the second part, which is really the reconciliation, which will take about 2-3 minutes, and then we'll be done. So if I click on the reconciliation summary for this particular say and see what happens. It's going to give me a couple of messages on the left and says, uh-oh, you have some unposted general ledgers on the left here, and there are some matching transactions that are not click marked in. What does that really mean? So if I go back to my view and everything that was equal, you will notice that this column here is empty. I go back to GP and inside the Dynamics GP Bank Rack, which we completely support and are really symbiotic to it. Nothing is marked. All right, that's okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to mark everything in GP. It takes all of about a second to do. If I refresh my screen and I click show, we'll see that everything here is marked up. If I go back inside Dynamics GP, and automatically all the click marks are now done inside GP. If we had no items in blues left, this item would be 0. And you know that? Well, I still have items in blue left. That's really what we want to do, is eliminate as many of those. Go back to my reconciliation summary. This one error message is gone. It says that I have some missing GLs that are not posted. If you remember, post in GP. I have spent post them because they're there. And once I post those, my reconciliation summary is going to be happy because it's going to say, oh, actually go ahead and did all the posting in the GL. You can actually start your GL reconciliation. See that this is the total of the GL transaction. This is the total. We have an issue. The deposits, I can see they have a variance, which is the variance between the two. We try to tell you, hey, careful, something's wrong between the GL and your bank module. So if you want to know what they are, you just what we see is there's a cash receipt here, but the general journal number was not deposited because it doesn't have a deposit. Same thing here, but remember this number here, 2001-005, it has a problem of some kind. We'll take a look at and fix it. So I'm going to close this in a second. Look to undeposited receipts. So we have a window that allows you to do deposits in GP, same as the bank deposit window in GP. Big advantage we have, it will list all of your fields that are on the cash receipt. You could select only credit card transactions, and within the credit card transaction, select Amex versus Visa MasterCard, which you can do in the GP window, which means if you have high volume credit card transactions, credit card receipts, that's a real nuisance. And to make a deposit for this one item, highlight it and say create it. So I click show now. I have a new deposit that came in for that amount. And again, if I go back summary, you'll see that it's completely dynamic with GP. We only have one issue left. We're going to go fix that one issue. Questions. So if I go to my bank deposit window and then bring up, switch to void already because I that. And if I go look, if you remember what the issue is, cash receipt is in March, but my deposit was in the issue. As you probably know, deposits have update the bank module, update the GL, so we have a time. If I avoid this, I can actually make my deposit here. But because I'm demoing my product, I'm being completely selfish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and deposit the receipts. That same cash receipt is the seconds I create my summary. I want to see this big fat zero here. Why? It means your general ledger is matching the bank record. And that means that if you have cleared everything in the bank statement, you should be able to have zeros all the way through here. So this is the value from last month's end of the month. That tells me there's a $2,000 variance. That would mean somebody went into the GP and GL and changed something in the cash from the last bank rec you did if the paperwork was there. And assume that didn't happen. I have zeros all and everywhere. So this number here on the first line is GL last month. The line B is GL transaction this month, comes from this grid on top. We calculate the end of the month GL balance. And of course, all of those numbers should match what's in Dynamics GP. So if you go inquire financial into your GL account, that's what it would be. This is your outstanding items in GP. No different than the report you normally get. So if you add your outstanding items in GP, bring them back. You add to your GL, it should match what you have on your statement. It doesn't for us because we still have items in blue that are left. The only big thing with us, with our outstanding list here, we will list separately any outstanding checks or documents that were voided in a future month. So if we're doing the March reconciliation, but in April somebody voided a check, we will list it on your outstanding list in a separate section. So you know that's an unusual item that really is no longer existing in GP, but we still have it there. So our whole goal with our product here is to show you what is not equal. So this should then be only the items, no items in blue. This would be your outstanding list. And when you're all done with that, you would go inside GP, hit transactions, hit the reconcile button, print your 4 regular reports, and off you go. In a nutshell, that's what our product does. Our goal is to simplify the entries and do all these things for you. The other thing that I would mention to you is we handle also what we call micro reconciliations inside a large account. So if you have multiple locations with multiple merchant IDs, typically stores or franchisees, that each have a merchant ID, American Express, a Visa, MasterCard, maybe cash, and then maybe your own credit card of some kind. What we do is we can identify all those and have them only match location A Amex to location A Amex on the bank statement. We match all that up. That's just a feature that comes with the product. It's a lot more time and demo to go through that, but just wanted to let you know that we have that. At any point in time, you can hit Excel and export any one of those. Have a few outstanding reports. See what's going on. So having said that, I'm going to switch back to our presentation here, and we have one more slide, I think. It's pricing, and then we'll go through some questions. Our pricing is very simple. It's a simple $3,000 to begin with. The product is $2,500. We have an annual maintenance of $500, and the subsequent years it's $500 per year. We don't care how many. We don't care how many banks you have, how many companies you have. It's one simple price. So having said all that, go back and turn it back over to your side and see if there's any questions, comments, concerns, or things that you might want to ask.
There is a question about the file that gets imported. Does that format have to be like a specific format or file type?
Okay, so we support a number of formats. Preferred format is called B as in boy, AI, or BAI2 if you go in your web. Download your bank statement, you might have that available as one of the download formats available to you. The big advantage it has is that it will contain typically your bank account, but it can contain multiple bank accounts. and it will contain multiple days, and it mimics exactly the format of your bank statement. So everything that's on your bank statement will be there. So if you have that available, nothing needed. We will read those files natively as long as the bank account matches in GP with what's on the export. The second full format we recommend is QBO, or QuickBooks Online format. That's another format we support natively. You can then also put your own mapping. So any file that you have that has the basic fields needed, such as date, amount, description, and type of transactions, you can map it through a CSV file as well. We highly recommend the other two because they are read natively. You don't need to do any setup on our end. It goes straight in and it works right and directly with your GP application.
Okay, great. And then also, how do you handle training and ongoing support? Is that included?
So what we do is we offer 2 hours with the product. And basically, we almost do what I just did, but you have to do the work. You have to do the clicking with your product. We help you set up things and go through. We can train through the partner, being a support to the partner, or train the partner in this case, or some of the partners will say, no, you do the training, you do it better, we know how to do it, or no, we prefer to train our own consultants. We try to be an extension of the partner because they are lifeline to you. And so that's what we do. We typically will recommend a budget for a normal bank reconciliation of about 10 hours. That's what we tell people to do. That's if you're probably using GP and maybe you're already doing the bank recs, and that you have an outstanding list of last month that is pretty current, meaning you don't have a big mess on your hands. That's my other way of saying it. If you have a situation where you're not reconciled, the outstanding lists are not right, it's very complex, and you have all kinds of problems, we're happy to deal with that and help you get into it. And if you're not using the GP bank rec yet, then I would budget maybe double, 20 hours. We have rarely ever gone over that. And it really depends on the speed at which we do things. In regards to complexity, that's an unanswerable question. We really have to see what you go from there. We can do a demo for you specifically, take a look at your file that you have and discuss it in more detail. We'll be happy to do kind of another demo with anybody that is interested, one-on-one, to be able to address any of those issues in much more detail.
Okay, that makes sense. I think we as the partner would help customers who are not currently using bank rec and GP. We would probably help them get started or get that cleaned up first, and then we bring in your product.
And we can do that.
Everything's ready.
You know, we've had, I can tell you horror stories from people, 27 years on no bank recs, and, you know, we've done those. And we've also done, in the middle of a month, come in and do the bank rec. And we do things, some transit authorities that have all kinds of places where money comes in. It's not necessarily just the complexity. It can be the volume. It can be the complexity. It's really to provide visibility as to what is matching and what is not matching on a much faster way, so you can hopefully help yourself with that. And not to forget the automated transactions. If you do a lot of things by hand that you book from the bank statement and you would rather not do that, I think this is definitely one of the things where we shine.
Okay, I think that kind of pretty much answers this next question. Can the automated process handle manual payments in lieu of increase or decrease adjustments?
And are we talking manual payments with AP? We do support manual payments in AP. If you do an import, what we call the Amex, our next product will do a lot more. It will do cash receipts, AP, and all the other stuff. But we do only AP manual payments. We generate a file that will generate an AP entry in the manual payments with an Amex import or a Visa MasterCard import. You're going to ask me, well, how do you do that? So that's probably a separate demo on that particular end. The goal is to allow the bank statement to generate transactions in GP. Presently, our forte is decrease and increase adjustments. We do manual payments. In this version, we do not do vouchers with a payment, but that is coming with the next version, as well as cash receipts.
Okay, great. I think that's all the questions we have for now. Adrian, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I just want to, you'll have, I don't know if Geese changed the slide to the end slide with contact info, but I know they can get it from you. Our support at GPC Systems is here to answer simple questions, or if you have more detailed questions or help get set up on, if your clients want to set up another demo through you for us. As Guy mentioned, we can address things more specifically for scenarios on a one-on-one basis. So.
Okay, good. And I also want to mention that this webinar has been recorded, so we will post it on our website within the next couple of days, and we'll send everyone an email with the link to access that. So I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you, you two. That was very informative. That's a very cool tool. I especially like the reconcile to GL. That looks like a big time saver.
Yeah.
Feel free to ask any further questions that you have. We really appreciate when partners take the time. We're not the pushy types. We like to help where it's helpful to you. If you feel you spend a fair amount of time on your bank recs, I think it's worth taking a look and doing a demo with Deborah and going from there. And we will probably be able to address specific issues you might have. All we're trying to do is, having been in the GP world for 20 plus years, is just to speed up this click mark stuff, these bank transactions, these automations that we all have too much work to do, and I really appreciate people taking time out. So if we can save you a little time, that's all we're trying to do.
Awesome. That's what we like. All right. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Guy. If there are any other questions down the road, we will let you know. We appreciate your time and everybody's time. So we will conclude our presentation. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.